a former TBI special agent, is going to return to the stand today. In about 45 minutes to an hour, they'll get things running in Tennessee. He testified along with some other law enforcement agents on Saturday. They worked on Saturday. Most of them interviewed Megan at some point in their investigation, and their eyebrows raised when they talked to this young woman about her missing child. They talked about several pieces of evidence, including an apartment application that Special Agent David Gratz received, signed by Hunter Wood. Let's start things off this morning with a look at what happened on Saturday.
Right after Christmas.
Where?
Evening.
That was Christmas Day, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then after Christmas Day, do you communicate with,
He won't talk to me.
But
On New Year's Eve, and sort of on New Year's, I guess, me and him argue back and forth.
did you ever call him and say, hey, where's Evelyn? It's been
I'll try to call, and he won't answer.
Well, now, when they say that you dropped the baby off at his parents,
His grandparents.
His grandparents?
Me and him stood outside. We didn't go in.
now, was you dating anybody during that time after you left?
Hunter, but I didn't really tell me if Ethan were into it.
Okay, so you went from Ethan to Hunter. Okay, so the last time you seen your daughter was sometime around Christmas, the day after that you dropped him off. You went and he didn't want to let you talk with her, be with her, or anything. Was there a confrontation right there? He just basically ran you off, or say, hey, you're not talking to my
I think he
baby?
just basically ran me off.
Okay.
Did she ever explain to you why she felt like it was okay to leave Evelyn with essentially a stranger to Evelyn?
She indicated that she was, I recall her using the words worn out,
Okay.
that Evelyn was attached to her at the hip and she needed a break, that she had taken care of Evelyn for a year and she felt like it was time for Mr. Perry to step up, and that she had also been taking care of her father or stepfather's children, other children in the home, and she was tired.
Did she indicate whether or not she could handle Evelyn herself?
She indicated she was just getting too much to handle. Yes, ma'am.
Ask if you can identify it.
Yes, I recognize this.
Okay. What is it?
This is an application for applying for a residence at the Overlook Apartments.
Okay. And can you tell us why you looked at Overlook Apartments?
We were given information that the defendant had applied to live there with her boyfriend,
Okay. Her boyfriend.
Hunter Wood.
Did you talk to the defendant about who the third occupant was going to be?
Yes, I did.
Did the defendant say the third occupant was going to be Evelyn Boswell?
No.
Okay, go ahead, sorry.
The defendant told us that at that time she was pregnant and the third occupant was for the unborn baby.
All right, that was some of the testimony from this weekend. Again, they worked on Saturday up in Tennessee. Let's talk about this case with retired criminal defense attorney Mr. Kirk Nermy is with us this morning, and former director of the Department of Family and Children Services in the state of Georgia, Tom Rawlings. Gentlemen, good morning to you. What does this apartment application indicate to you? Tom, to you first.
Yeah, sure. Obviously, number one, she said she was pregnant. I'm not sure that was ever the case. Never really found that out. But more than importantly than that, she apparently didn't expect to have Evelyn with her. You're the sole mother, the sole custodian of a 15-month-old child. When you apply for an apartment, you say that the child's not going to be with you. I mean, just something is obviously off there.
Kirk, and that was evident over the weekend with some of these law enforcement agents that interacted with her mom. something was very off. It's even Megan's emotions, basically unfazed. Let's take a listen to a bit of that, of her talking to this investigator. And the guy says, listen, where's your kid? You don't even seem to care. Take a listen and we'll get your response.
So where do you think she's at?
I don't know.
You seem totally unfazed by this. That tells me that you know where your baby's at.
No, I don't.
Megan, I've been doing this a long time. I've talked to a lot of mothers. I've talked to a lot of girls. Okay? What you're telling me very well could be partial truth. But like I said, there's a piece that you're not telling me.
Kirk, it doesn't look good for Megan.
It doesn't, Ted. And, you know, ultimately what we're seeing over the past couple of days of this testimony is the state presenting a pretty good portrait of someone, a young woman who is very mentally unstable and who is lying at will, if you will, in order to cover up what she's done. And these lies are starting to, you know, lies don't age well, and they start to turn really bad in trial. And we're seeing that, and we're seeing the mental instability behind it, the motivated lies, the chaos, the application. Is true? Obviously, she's not expecting Evelyn with her, so you're seeing a really portrait of an unstable young woman, and you're making it really clear to the jury that she was the one, in fact, that killed her own daughter.
Tom, she was 17 when she had her daughter. With your experience, how does a baby like this fall through the cracks? I mean, it seems like in this case it was because no one was notified, and without knowledge, I guess the state can't come in and do anything, no matter what state it is. What's your overall thought of this case, given your experience?
Sure. From a Child Protective Services standpoint, Ted, you know, I'm concerned that number one, Megan was actually in foster care when she was pregnant with this child, is my understanding. There's some testimony from her former foster parent that she was 4 months pregnant when she came into foster care at about age 17. I don't know why she came into foster care. I think it's a really interesting thing we need to find out. The problem, of course, is that I guess she probably aged out of foster care at 18 and had the child. And I think the question is, why did the Child Protective Services, Tennessee Department of Children's Services, not follow up and say, what's going on with your child? You know, you were in a bad situation. You were in foster care yourself with this baby or while pregnant with this child. Why didn't they follow up? I'm not sure. It's a really good question. Yeah,
it's heartbreaking. In fact, if someone may have followed up, they may have seen what her friend saw. Megan's friend testified that, you know, she went to a restaurant and the baby was obviously not being cared for. Take a listen.
Who was there when you went to Chili's that day?
Me, Megan, and Evelyn.
Okay. Anyone else?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Did you sit at a table or a booth?
Booth.
Okay. And did you sit beside anyone?
No, ma'am.
Okay, so Megan and Evelyn were on one side of the table and you were on the other?
Yes, ma'am.
What was your impression of Evelyn that day?
She was dirty, and I could smell her across the table.
Can you tell us how? Can you describe it for us?
Her face and hands were dirty, and her clothes were dirty.
Kirk, it's a heartbreaking just picture that this jury is seeing, and a jury is always going to blame mother. And there seems to be a mountain of evidence compiling here as this trial from day to day. From a defense perspective, where do you see this going?
Well, you know, there's not too many places it can go, right? I used the term before. You probably heard me say long-form guilty plea. This is what this really is, right? Miss Boswell, probably, if there ever was a plea offer, she's not willing to accept it. So you're defending the Constitution, not the client. There's not a lot of avenues for the defense to go, right? You paint this picture. You see this girl who's clearly not equipped. She doesn't reach out for services. She needs mental health help. You just showed the clip of the friend describing the state of affairs. No one intervened. That's the sad part. Going back to your previous question, there had to be some reason for the state services to start intervening here. No one made mention of that, and you can really, the picture is very clear, and there's not really a place for the defense to go, as it were.
Tom, you know, again, leaning into your experience, is there a mistrust in the system, or is there what? Because it seems as though this young mother and the child would have had interactions. We saw the example of the friend at Chili's. Okay, this is another young guy. What does it take for someone to pick up the call, and why do you think babies fall through the cracks in these horrible cases that end up on court TV?
Well, it's interesting you mentioned that, Ted. I think actually one of her friends, I can't remember which one, testified that she was aware that that Megan was not treating the child well. Similar testimony to what we just heard. And she said she did not call it in because she had had a similar experience with Child Protective Services and didn't want to mess up Megan's life in that way. And I think a lot of times people don't realize that the only way that you're going to get help for a child is to call Child Protective Services. It's great that you don't want them involved with your friend's life. We understand that. But otherwise, bad things can happen, as happened with Evelyn here, unfortunately.
Yeah, well said. You have to look at the child more so than the parent.